So I was looking for a simple topic and something which we have never discussed in the IC. So one of the topic which came to my mind is about biblical friendship. So can we pray? Father, we come before you and we together ask that your word will speak to us and you will give me words to express your word, Lord. Lord, we trust in you and thank you for your presence here, Lord. Lord, I know that you are here and we can trust you, Lord. And Lord, thank you for holding us up and thank you for joining and gathering us today here, Lord. In Jesus' precious name. Thank you. So I want to speak about biblical friendships. So just before starting the sermon, I would like to take a verse which has touched my heart. And I think you might have heard this verse in Sunday school. It says, "Your word is a lamp to my feet and a light on my path." So I believe, in Korea we have light all the time. Even if it is night, we go out and you can see all the street lights. But if I go to my place in India, when it's 9 o'clock it's pitch darkness. So you can only hear some small birds crying, or other than that it is pitch darkness. And Susan literally hates it. And we know if we want to go to some place, we have to carry a lamp and go everywhere. Suppose the battery runs out or the kerosene runs out, we are in trouble. So actually, so many times we think our world is filled with light, but to say the truth, it is filled with darkness, and we need the light of God's word to take us step by step. So today we are going to look at this topic, what the Bible is telling about friendships. And I know Susan's dad has sickness for night blindness, so in the night he can't see anything. So he always carries a torch, even in Bombay, where everywhere there is lighting, morning 2 o'clock, still he carries a torch. But still he tries to carry a friend with him, because he says, I can with the torch, I can see the next step, but I can't see the direction. So if I want to walk in the night, I need not only to see my next step, I want to see which direction I am going. So we need a light and a step-by-step lamp to guide us through. So the only right place to look at it is God's word. And if you look at that, you will see step-by-step we can walk in this word. So let us look at many scriptures in the Bible which talks about friendship. And I believe it's an important topic because it's mentioned so many times from the Old Testament to the New Testament it is there. So let us start with the Old Testament. So in Exodus 33:11, you can read the verse from verse 10. Inside the tent of meeting, the Lord would speak to Moses face to face as one speaks to a friend. Afterward, Moses returned to the camp, but the young man who assisted in Joshua, son of Nun, would remain behind in the tent of meeting. So this is the first record of God's friendship with men. And Moses was known to Pharaoh and maybe many other people. He says he didn't expect that when he went to the tent of meeting, God will speak to him like a friend. And he was a bit surprised and came back and told that, okay, God spoke to me like a friend. And Exodus 33 is one of the most beautiful chapters in the Bible if you want to know how God speaks. So first Moses goes inside, God was angry, and God says, you and the people you brought from Egypt. God is saying to Moses. So then Moses is saying, no, God, it's your people. And then it goes on. And finally, Moses says, okay, Lord, I can hear you speak me as a friend, but I want to see your glory. And God says, I will indeed do what you have asked, for I look favorably on you and I know you by name. And so that's how God was speaking to Moses. And I was surprised to see that in the Old Testament, God said, okay, let the stars come on in one day. He said, let the stars, and it was there. But when we give Old Testament, when we look at Exodus and all, God took so much of time to give all the laws in the Old Testament. We know from scriptures that Moses was with God 40 days, maybe 3 times. At least it is 2 times, but I think it is 3 times that he was with the Lord, just spending the time with the Lord. God could have done it in one day, but he said, no, I want to speak to Moses. Or we don't know why it was like that, but we can definitely know God was seeking a fellowship and friendship with Moses. And also we know in the Bible, before Moses, definitely Abraham has spoken to God, but Abraham hasn't written any Bible. He hasn't really written any scripture in the book of Bible. But in the New Testament, in James, it is saying Abraham was called a friend of God. So how it would have come? I just imagine it this way. Maybe other people who would have seen him speaking to God must have told in the next generation. And they have put these records, and they were known, Abraham was known as a friend of God. And just in the New Testament it was recorded. And I want to see a beloved young man in this picture, and his name was Joshua. And he's my favorite character from the Old Testament. And we look at him, and one verse is written about him. Afterward, Moses would return to the camp. It says, afterward, Moses would return to the camp, but the young man who assisted him, Joshua, son of Nun, would remain behind in the tent of meeting. God said, I think God's initial plan was to be in the midst of all of Israelites, but they were sinning so frequently. God said, if I leave there, I'm going to kill all of them. So make me a small tent outside, I will come and speak with you. So, but there was this one young man who said, okay, God is going to speak to Moses, but I will just stay outside the tent. And in the night, Moses will go back to the tent with Israel. But Joshua said, no, I am going to be there, just outside the tent. And as far as we know in the scripture, before the next 39 years, God will not speak a word to Joshua. He was just outside. Only thing he was doing was he was loving Moses, and he was loving the God who was speaking to Moses. He was just doing that only. And in Exodus 33, after maybe like 39 years or 35 years, the Lord replied to Moses, in Exodus. In Deuteronomy 31:14, one day God told Moses, call Joshua. So many times we will be just seeking him, maybe he won't speak to you back, but just be there, just enjoy his presence. And one day God will call your name and he will anoint you. And it happened after many years for Joshua. And in Deuteronomy 34, Joshua, God asked Moses to lay his hand and pray for Joshua, and he was full of wisdom and power. And I was imagining like this. Say, Moses had all these rebellious people around him, but God has kept one good person to give him comfort and friendship. And he could look to Joshua any time, and he was a source of encouragement and love for him. Imagine all the elders, including Aaron, who was not so good. But this is one way to encourage him, to give him strength with a different spirit. So sometimes God cares for us like that. He gives a friend. He gives a companion so that we will be pulled together. So that was God from the Old Testament. Now if you look at the New Testament, we can see very similar things Jesus was saying. So here Jesus is giving a commandment. Can we read it together? John 15:12. This is my commandment. Love each other the same way I have loved you. There is no greater love than to lay down one's life for one's friends. You are my friends if you do what I command. I no longer call you slaves, because a master does not confide in his slaves. Now you are my friends, since I have told you everything the Father told me. I just want to add one more something. See, imagine God was speaking to Moses, and Joshua was just outside and doing nothing great. He didn't complain that, okay, God, you are only speaking to Moses, you are not speaking to me. He was just so happy and fun that he could stand outside, and for 35 years, and I think that's excellent quality. And now we look at here, and we see Jesus saying, love each other in the same way I have loved you. So there are so many comments in this Bible. And he said, I am calling you friends. And what is the, why you are friend? Because I tell everything the Father has told me. And now you are my friend since I have told you everything the Father told me. So if we want to say, if we want to be a friend, the primary responsibility is to learn and speak, right? So even in the Old Testament, God was speaking to Moses as a friend. So you recognize as a friend by the way you speak. Right? And we are also supposed to speak the way Jesus is speaking. And we know because Moses spent so much time with him, he has tried to be the meekest man on the face of earth. And we look at God's character and we see how they were together. And He said the same way as Jesus walked, the same way as they ate together, and the same way. And now we look at another scripture about Lazarus. So the two sisters, can we read it together?
So the two sisters sent a message to Jesus, telling him, Lord, your dear friend is very sick. These things he said, and after that he said to them, our friend Lazarus sleeps, but I go and I will wake him up. So they rolled the stone aside, and Jesus looked up to heaven and said, Father, thank you for hearing me.
Yeah, so it's a beautiful story, true incident which is written in the Bible in John. So here there are two sisters and a brother. Jesus used to come and visit them sometimes. He used to eat together. Maybe the disciples were starving. Many times he lived together in his home. And you look at the sticky note which they said. They said, God, your dear friend is very sick. Look at the sister's confidence that Lazarus was a friend to Jesus. So even though, see, there are two things combined. He is Lord, and at the same time he is a friend. And Jesus also acknowledged that. He says, our friend, he is telling to his disciples, yours and our friend, Lazarus sleeps. He acknowledged that, yes, Lazarus is my friend. So it is something difficult for us to imagine that God will call us friend, the King of all the universe, but that's something which is originated in the very Trinity. And in 11:41, Jesus looked up to heaven and said, Father, thank you for hearing me. So we know there is continuous communication between Father and Son. And they have spoken together and they said, Lord, Father, I want to do something for Lazarus and also for the disciples. I want to do a miracle that they will believe. And they have agreed. I just imagine the Father would have told Jesus, okay, when you go and call Lazarus, just make sure that you call specifically Lazarus' name. Otherwise all the dead will come out that day. So that's just my imagination. So now if you look at Peter and Jesus, we know many incidents that it was not like Peter was overwhelmed by Jesus, but it was more like a relationship in friendship. We can remember the betrayals. Peter betrayed Jesus 3 times, and Jesus looked at him at the last, the look of a friend. And we can remember the drowning, and Jesus said, okay, come on, hold my hand. And bringing back, and maybe Peter is smiling at other disciples how he was starting to drown, and also how Jesus is calling him a rock, and he was not really a rock, but he was a friend who encouraged Peter, and imagine the fight between the disciples to know who is the greatest, even after spending 3 years with him, and we can know the day after Jesus' crucifixion. After even getting Jesus' look, imagine the day Peter saying, I am going fishing, and he goes back to fishing, and how the Lord restored him. And finally, Peter ends up his life by saying, Lord, please crucify me upside down. And that's how Jesus a friend has changed him. Indeed, he has found a friend in the Lord. So now I want to look at another person which is a very good character. It is Paul and Barnabas. Yeah, I know you definitely know the story of Paul and Barnabas. Barnabas was somebody, probably a rich man who had land, and he has sold it and brought to the apostles in Acts chapter 4. And apostles called him a nickname. You know what was the nickname? His nickname was Barnabas. I think his original name was Joseph, because Barnabas means son of encouragement. They saw this man who filled with enthusiasm and his personality, and they had to call him a nickname. Only thing they called a positive nickname. Maybe we may call negative nickname, but by looking at Barnabas, the apostles called Barnabas, the apostle called Joseph as Barnabas, the son of encouragement. So we know how Barnabas has changed Paul, because nobody was accepting Paul, but Barnabas brought Paul inside, and because Barnabas was so much trusted, he can go and tell the apostles, see, this guy is very good in speaking. And so he introduced Paul to the apostles, and they used him a little bit in Jerusalem, And then again Paul has gone back to Tarsus, his native town. And after some years, maybe after months, the apostles sent Barnabas to Antioch to be the chief elder or to control the church and teach the church. So Barnabas was still went back and found Saul and brought him back again to preaching. And we know, so Barnabas was the key person who brought Paul back and made him Paul. And I would imagine the apostles being all fishermen and not very great people, they would not have been accepting Paul in any way because he was so high and these people are so low, and they would not accept Paul the way he is. But only Barnabas had the vision to see that, okay, I can bring in Paul and he will be a great asset to the church. And that was one. And second man, Barnabas has brought his Mark. So Barnabas was a man who was a person of encouragement who can make great leaders, bigger than himself. So we don't see much of Barnabas in the Bible, only we know that he has done some missionary journeys, not much is written about him. But he has made two great servants of the Lord, greater than him, in Mark and also in Saul. So he was a very key person in the Bible, and he was a good friend. So I would imagine Barnabas was a good friend to Paul. Maybe Paul was not so much a good friend to Barnabas, but Barnabas has changed Paul for good. And later on, years later, I think they might have become again friends, much later towards his end of life. But when we look at Paul, later on he had many beloved friends. So if you read Romans last chapter, we know Luke was a beloved friend of Paul, Timothy was a beloved friend, Titus was a beloved friend, Amphilochus, Stachys, Mark, so many people has become Paul's beloved friend. So the love which Barnabas had shown to Paul has changed him for a better person. So this I see in my life too. Some people who has loved me, if they ask me to do something, and if I see something from the scripture in their life, it impacts me, it changes me. And yes, so Barnabas was one person like that. So now we go back to Old Testament and see one more person, and it's David and Jonathan. And when I look at David, one of the things which stands out to me is he never loved to be a king. He was a king, he was fine because God has placed him there, but he never really wanted to be a king. Even when his son Absalom takes his kingdom, he was not really worried to get the kingdom back. He was not really concerned about, but how he get this character. I think he might have seen it in Jonathan. Definitely it has come from a close fellowship with the Lord, but the same character we can see in Jonathan. So now can we read 1 Samuel 20:13? Boiled to rage at Jonathan, who stupid his son of war and swore at him, taking back the knowledge to the king of shamed himself and their mother. And Jonathan made David a great friend of child of friendship again. For Jonathan loved David as a father. See, do you realize that for Jonathan loved David as he loved himself? So it's a New Testament comment. How did Jonathan knew about it? How he can get such a heart? So definitely this friendship has changed David forever. And he could never forget Jonathan even to his death. So sometimes God is calling us to be a friend, not to be a great person. Sometimes God is calling us to be just giving without doing anything great, but being a friend. So this is one of the calling, or one of the instructions for us. So I want to take another example. I know definitely you have heard about John Newton. Everybody knows about Amazing Grace, the song. He's the person who wrote it, but he wrote this with a beloved friend called William Cooper. William Cooper was a poet and one of the member of his parish probably, and a person who is filled with, who was very depressing. He had a problem of depression. And it has been throughout his life, but after writing this song, he became even more horrible. Okay, so John Newton was a very horrible sailor. His father was a sailor, and he was a horrible sailor, and he was taken to Royal Navy, and because he was so bad, they gave him a punishment to go and work in slavery ships. And he became a started working in surgery, and he says he was one of the worst in all of that. All the sailors were in general bad, but he was one of the worst in that. And years back, he had a storm facing, and he cried out to God, and he started getting to know the Lord. But still, he continued maybe another 5 years doing slave trading, and finally, after 5 years, he stopped everything and came back to UK, and he became a pastor. So he came to this place called Olney, maybe like 50 kilometers from London, and he started a small, he started working in a church, and William Cooper was a lawyer and a gifted man writing poems. So he has written many poems. Some of his poems was used by Martin Luther King during his sermons, and he was a very famous poet. So this Amazing Grace, this song was written by both of them. Maybe the story is John Newton's, but the wording maybe more come from William Cooper, and they published this song together, and they didn't put a name to all the songs, so probably they are written together, and that's William Cooper. But William Cooper, the day he published, he went into a very deep depression. He saw a dream that God has forsaken him and condemned him to hell, and he couldn't get out of that feeling throughout his life for the next 27 years. And what John Newton did is, he went and brought this William Cooper to his home for 14 months. He treated him there, and he says it was too tough for him also to do that. But William Cooper, John Newton was a good friend to William Cooper like that. And then after 6 years, after 14 months, okay, he went back to his home and he was become slightly better, but he couldn't come out of the depression for the next 27 years. But for the next 27 years, John Newton continued to be a friend to William Cooper, even though it was very difficult. He continued to write, he continued to visit, he continued to pray together, and finally the funeral also was done by John Newton. And this is what John Newton has preached at his William Cooper's funeral. So this is a sentence which he said, "I know of no the whole book of God's word more suited to the case of my dear friend than that I have read. He was indeed a bush in flames for 27 years, but he was not consumed." Because bush in flames means he was bush in depression, he was burning in depression, but not consumed. And this is next sentence is John Piper's commentary on that. For 27 the flame didn't burn, and John Piper says, and why? Because the Lord was there. That's Newton said, because the Lord was there. But John Piper, when he wrote a commentary on that, he wrote like this: yes, the Lord was there, and very often the Lord was there through Newton himself. Because for 27 years, John Newton did not forsake William Cooper, but faithfully stood as a friend in the fire. And William Cooper, before dying, he wrote a sentence about John Newton: a sincere or more affectionate friend no man ever had. So sometimes, see, God has shown amazing grace to John Newton, and he has shown some grace back to William Cooper. That's a very touching sentence. A sincere or more affectionate friend no man ever had. Sometimes our calling may be to be a friend. So am I saying that we should have so many friends? Actually, we cannot have. So if you look at Jesus, Jesus loved everybody, but he fed 5,000, he trained 120, he discipled 20, he mended 3. So this picture is from Rick Warren's sermon. So he says we can have some core friends, we can have some close friends, and we can have casual friends. So maybe in Jesus' case it was 3 core friends, maybe 12 close friends, and maybe many casual friends. So it's important that we select the friends by prayer and also asking the Holy Spirit to guide us, because we cannot have so many, but we can have few, and we should look to the Lord for that. And maybe at home you can make circles and write some names where to find how many friends we have and who has God has given us. And I will read the last sentence there. Father, Son and Holy Spirit, this is from a book called My Friends. Father, Son and Holy Spirit all exist together in community like an intense committed friendship. So when God says in the Bible that we are made in His image, it just means we in the deepest part of who we are share some similarities with the God who created us. Then we must have a deep friendship thing built into us. In simple words, we are wired for friendship. God has created us. God has put us in there that we should have friends. And the Bible is also giving us many instructions about how to select friends. And I would rather recommend you to go and listen to Gordon's message on that. But I have taken some verse from that sermon. It says in Proverbs 26, the righteous should choose his friends carefully, for the way of the wicked leads the master. So even if the person is righteous, he should choose his friends very carefully. Otherwise, he will become the way of the wicked will make the righteous man a wicked. 1 Corinthians 15:3 says, do not be deceived, evil company corrupts good habits. Same thing, evil company corrupts good habits. So we had a mentor who will always say, if you are on the table and you are trying to pull someone up, it's very difficult. But to pull the person who is on the table down is very easy. So the tendency that we may, if you are a close friend with an evil person, it may corrupt your good habit. But sometimes God may ask you to be a friend to somebody who is really evil. But when we look at Proverbs, it is generally good advice for all situations, except when the Lord asks us to do something opposite. So always look to the Lord to see what He really wants us to do. Because God wants to bring some evil person with us. So any food can start arguments. The honorable thing is to stay out of that. So if somebody is too much argumentative, the Bible says, in general, stay away. Stay away from gossips. They can't keep a secret and they tell everything. So with gossipers, stay away. Flattery is a trap. Evil people get caught in it, but good people avoid it and are free. So sometimes, yes, from the people who are flattering, just keep away. But there is a limit where you want to encourage, and that's fine. But I think flattery is not separate from that. So if we enjoy deep and abiding friendship with other men in Christ, God has done it. It is not ours. God has done it. And looking back, I have never prayed for good friends. Always God has given to me in grace. But when I was preparing the sermon, I was thinking, yes, I should start praying. And I was praying even for my children to have good friends. And I know they don't have enough good friends now. The most effective way for men to find the friends we need is to spend serious time on our knees. We cannot force real friendship. This is not ultimately in our control. And in God's system, many good friendships will come and go, ebb and flow, and then never again. A few unusual friends may endure over decades. So the question is how I can become a good friend. So, when Jesus said about friendship and all, He said, love each other. So many times our flesh will say, everybody has to love me. But the Bible's commandment is love each other. It has to be a two-way communication. So how can I become a good friend? I think first is to know that yes, we need friends. We need it. So I also want to be a friend. So I will say first make Jesus one of our best friends and let Him be in your core group. And God has promised that if you ask Him, He will come and abide with us. The Father, Son and Holy Spirit, all three will come and abide with us. That is the New Testament promise. So we can ask the Lord, please come Lord, please come and have a friend with me. I need you. And then we can have some other friends. In Proverbs 10:11 says, the words of the godly are a life-giving fountain. Ask the Lord for grace and repent of our tongue and words. So I said, one of the primary responsibility of the friend is to speak. So if we speak, the thing is, the Bible also says our main problem is our tongue. See, the best gift in the Bible, one of the best gifts in the Bible is right words. And the worst thing in our life because of sin is also our bad words. So we need to go back and repent of our sins and then let good words start to flow. I think there is a verse in the Bible that says, the words of the godly are a life-giving fountain. So if you want the words the right words, we need to go back and become a godly person, and we need to repent of our sins. It's not natural, our mind and this thing, but if we go back to God and ask God to fill us our life, yes, we can get good words, which will transform our relationships, our relationship with cousins, everything will be transformed. And we have to love the way Jesus loved. It involves some eating together, some walking together, some chatting together, everything is involved. So that is the best way. And share secrets. So if you are sharing a secret, just be wise to share to the right people. Otherwise, you may be in trouble. And prayerfully select good friends, and you will become a good friend. And also, I want to say, when we are looking for close friends, always think with eternity. Oasis is a place where people come and go, and you may not be here after 1 year, but even that 1 year, let us know that we are going to be eternal friends. We may be away for 50 years, and then we are again going to see you all again. So I want to summarize. So in UK, currently they say there are 50 to 60% people are lonely to different levels of loneliness, and they have a ministry of loneliness. So I would say, from God's side, friendship is the vaccine we need for loneliness. And let Jesus be your closest core friend. Once we grow in friendship, prayer, His every command will become our delight. Jesus said, go into the room, close the door, and pray. So imagine, it's difficult, right? But if you are with your closest friend, I think the guys will spend more time in the room than the boys. But still, to talk with the closest friend, you would love to. So every command in the Bible will become easier the moment we see Jesus as our friend, and we begin to experience. I know it is not natural for us, but if we seek like Joshua, just wait on the Lord, I know it will take step by step, we will get closer to Him. And there are no perfect friends or friendship. Sometimes we unknowingly will ask for a perfect friend. No, you are not going to get that. And the principle is like this. In olden days, to sharpen a knife, the knife used to be to rub against each other, and both the things will become sharp. So actually, Proverbs says, "As iron sharpens iron, a friend sharpens a friend." So that is the purpose of the friendship: somebody to sharpen us, somebody to correct us. To have great friends, I must be a great friend. That is a biblical principle. Genuine family love changes friends. So we know Joshua might have changed Moses, Barnabas has changed Paul, Jonathan has changed David, and Jesus has changed Peter and all the disciples. When you obey what He commands, you will grow. And also, if you look at Jesus' words in John 15, it says, if you do my commands, you are my friends. And then the next step is, I will do whatever you ask. Actually, in the Old Testament, God is telling Moses exactly the same thing. He's saying, I will do, you ask me to show me your glory? Yes, I am going to show you my glory. Only thing, you cannot see my face. I will hide you in a rock and cover you with my hand. Then I will pass and you can see my back. So, God is saying in the Old Testament and New Testament, He wants to do exactly what you ask. And there is one biography I have read maybe 4 times. That's George Mueller's biography. I know in his life, when he started, he did exactly whatever the Lord has asked him. God has said, okay, give away the silverware. He gave away. And later on we see this 20,000 prayer requests God has answered. Every one of them, not even one was not answered. So that's what our call. God is not simply calling us to forgive our sins and just take us into heaven. No. He's calling us to grow in friendship and much more, which we are not seeing. That's all. Let's pray. Father, we come before you. Lord, thank you for the grace, Lord. Lord, we pray that you write your words in our hearts and help us to grow in that, Lord. In Jesus' precious name.